What is going on, guys? And today we are back. We are doing part 2 of the session review with Henrik over there from Chim on Phenom Poker. Henrik, can you say hi? How'd you like part 1? Tell me the details, man.
Hey everybody, glad to be back. Thought Kyle did a really thorough review of the first half-hour session I sent in and enjoyed, talking through the hands with him. So, excited to be back to do it again with him.
All right, man. I think we're just gonna jump right into this and see how we're doing here. I see we're playing a little double board Omaha. This is one of my favorite limit games as of right now. I really like playing this game.
Me too.
King 994 here under the gun. This is just going to be a little bit too weak. Double suited, I would probably open this one, but um, even the suited king, I think, would be somewhat closer, but I think only double suited for me is probably something I'd open here. So I would go ahead and fold. You fold. This is good. Again, I'm not sure the hotkeys on here, so I'm going to just skip as I see good. All right. Next hand under here, under the gun, is going to open. You have king 10, 8 deuce. I think this is just going to be a pure flat call. I'm not 3-betting this combo, just structurally too weak. You get obviously a very good flop for you on top, plus on bottom board here, flopping the top pair with a backdoor flush draw. Really good flops for you. I'd probably go for a check raise here. I think just generally when usually if you're in the big blind, you check the person under the gun. I think the under the gun player, especially in lower limits, is just going to fire a c-bet way too often. So you can probably just go for a check raise here almost all the time. And if they check back, like, that's fine. You just get to kind of bet down from there. So that would be my plan here. But I think, yeah, if you kind of like, it's like if you run into the nut flush, it's like whatever. But you have to put in action with like top pair on a bottom board and second nut flush on a top board. So
I've got two pair on the bottom board as backup equity too, even if he does have the nut flush. So for me to get screwed on both of these is going to be pretty hard, right?
It's going to be very hard now, especially since like over here, the boards are blocking each other now with like queens, so it's like very hard for him to like kings and queens when you have a king in your hand as well. Both boards are blocking a 4 too, which is I just noticed as well. So yeah, like on this turn card here with flush and kings up. I mean, now we're going to lead. I don't expect our opponent here to ever bet, kind of given the fact that 2 queens and 2 4s are dead, plus the board just paired 3s. So like very few full houses here that your opponent's going to have. So easy bet on the turn here. And he just folds. I just must say, king, queen, 4 deuce here. This is just going to be another pitch to you if someone raises in front. And if it gets to you in the small blind here, I think raising is probably okay. It's not going to be the biggest thing in the world, but it does fold before you, so we're just going to skip a little bit ahead. Button here, you dealt a 9 Badugi. This would be great in Badugi. This is not great in double board high, well,
yeah.
Or high.
Always the wrong game.
Yeah, it's always the wrong game.
Yeah.
All right, 10 3 3 deuce, another full. I guess Badugi is another game we could open this one from the cutoff, but yeah. That's about all I'm going for here. So I'm gonna skip a little bit. And quad aces. It's always brutal when you have like quads on one board and lose.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Here, with the 10-9-9-5 in the hijack, I'm pretty sure this is an open. And what we're going to do over here is we're going to just bring in Omaha Mate, because this is one that I did preemptively pull up. And as we can see over here from the hijack in Limit Omaha High, again, use code LMG, but they do have the Limit Omaha High sims. With respect to talking about like, does double board change the dynamic of having like some of these combos? I think the answer is no. Maybe in pot limit it might, just because of like playability issues, but I think in limit I don't think it's necessarily going to be that big of a deal. But if we look at the double suited combo, it plays the double suited combo over here, and it's about 16 per 100, so it's significant enough to definitely like take a look at it. It's not like career ending here if you're folding this hand on a consistent basis, but just some like small mistake I would definitely look for to kind of fix going at, as opposed to like my pre-flop range going forward. So again, not that huge a mistake by any means, but just more of a something to keep an eye out for.
Yeah.
45. All right, Omaha High is the next game here. Sorry, I do not have the hotkeys, guys, so I'm kind of skipping around here as I see fit. Best high hand in your hand is going to get half the pot for 1 draw. Again, this is a non-qualifying split pot game, so there's always going to be 2 pots, and then obviously the Omaha high version. So meaning that the best Omaha high is going to get the other half of the pot as well. Pretty easy fold in this spot here. Once Three bet. The thing is like, you should probably have some unpaired defends in the big blind that are not like flush draws. Not quite sure what they are. If you kind of go around, and I always recommend people to go play like with the stud flop draw ranges in general. I think probably something like ace queen suited or like a triple like oil flush draw kind of suit might be something that you consider defending and drawing at in a spot like that. But no, I don't think you're ever like calling against a player who open raises and like drawing three at the ace queen or something along those lines that is suited.
Yeah, I hate playing Omaha only hands in this, in Dramaha, because you're capping yourself to half the pot, right? So
Yeah, I mean, if like small blind opens, I think you can defend, and the reason being is because like they're gonna have some ace highs as well. So sometimes you get to showdown, you win with ace high. But usually when a player opens from like any position, like over it, hijack, cutoff hijack, under the gun kind of thing, they're almost always gonna have pairs. So, you're just usually gonna be in a really rough spot if you're drawing at ace highs trying to make pairs.
agreed.
Um, it's kind of an interesting spot here. Accidentally, player under the gun posts.
Yeah.
If it does get to us, I actually might here complete with ace king jack. Having some sort of draw here, but if someone raises, I'm just going to fold. But I also think too, like players are going to be, kind of taking advantage. Yeah, I'm going to probably just complete here, honestly, and attempt to see a flop. So it looks like you have the same strategy going on here, which I don't mind at all. I mean, you don't really flop much on this board, but at the same time too, like he didn't raise pre-flop, so I mean, like I feel like ace king here is going to be the best draw a lot. I probably am calling here in the jack doesn't help you that much with respect to the draws here. You kind of have to catch like, like say maybe you catch a nine and then the board pairs an eight. So I probably would just check call and draw three at the ace king. If the jack helped me on the board in some way, I might draw two at the ace king jack. But I think in this situation, I would just throw the jack away. But not a big deal there.
Yeah.
All right, button here with the flush draw. I think on the button you can open some flush draws. Interesting that he limped here. I
Yeah,
would
the limp
fold it.
and the call.
Yeah, I would fold it now. The reason I say this is because I actually know this player in real life, and when he limps here, I feel like he's either got a draw that he wants to draw one at, or he's trapping. This is one of the things that you'll see kind of in lower limits is you'll actually see players like limp. They're pat hands to try to get everyone in the pot and then pat it and then kind of make up some equity. You won't see this in the higher limit games because obviously people kind of like know how to hand read better. But in this situation here, I would say like more often than not, this is just kind of like I'm calling here to take, try to play my one card draw cheap, and then owl raises. The other thing too here is like having a queen high flush draw is it's like one of these spots where you really in these games really want to have like ace or king high flush draws because if you get flushed over flush, it's catastrophic. So I mean, I'm not calling in this situation. I'm just pitching my hand, even in position. If you had like a straight flush draw, that's a little bit different. And the reason being is because like obviously you have a straight draw, you have a flush draw, and then you have a hand that has plenty of equity on the home on board when you have like, queen 10, 9, jack of all clubs or something along those lines. So like that's a little bit different. But here with the 9-7, the queen 9-7 deuce, I'm just pitching it and just going to the next hand.
You would, yeah, you don't like the one card draw to a flush in hand.
I don't mind it if I'm in like the big blind. I like even in position, like I get it, but I also think too here, your opponent over here could be like just limping like the ace high flush draw kind of thing, and you don't even know if he's gonna back raise.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's true.
So a lot of like again, like a lot of his limps here, I think are gonna be like the one card draws at decent draws.
Yeah,
Well, you do pick up some equity here, so this is good.
yeah, back into two pair on the board. Yeah, so. Yeah, I agree with you in general though. Like when I'm drawing to like a draw in hand, I prefer like having an open-ended straight draw in hand because that has better equity on the Omaha side usually because it can wrap better with the board. It's hard to make something. I mean, I backed into a full house here, which is lucky because I didn't make anything in hand obviously, but
Yeah,
I agree with you in principle.
yeah, and in theoretically, like I don't think you're straight. To be honest, in Dramaha High, like I think your straight draws are just realistically again like if you're on the button with something like queen 10 jack 9 you probably can get away with it. Again I would go play around with some of the ranges in the single draw high and stud flop draw because you're usually not opening a lot of the straight draw combos, especially your weak ones. In Dramaha it's obviously a little bit different because you have added equity given the fact that you have a good like Omaha High setup for your hand. But generally I would say like throw away almost all straight draws, most flush draws. That's just kind of like I would say a general principle, especially like if they don't have a good structure to them. Like obviously Queen 9 7 deuce is something that is going to be it's just not going to have a ton of Omaha high equity. You do pick up some here, which is obviously good for you. Um, and it goes 2 2 2 1. A lot of these 2 2 2 draws are going to have like flush draws as well. So now when he bets in this situation, I think we just call. The reason being is like I think that we have a pretty nutted scenario right here with respect to the board because like you block a queen, deuces are just not going to be very prevalent, and unless he has like aces with a five with the nut flush draw and just made aces and five, like your hand is just pretty well nutted at this point. So I would just go ahead and call. You're never going to get a better high hand to fold. This is kind of like split pot dynamics 101. When you only have like one side of the pot, usually you want the other players to come on in. And you're kind of blocking them from like if you raise here on this like fact that the board just like significantly changed. Like if the turn's a 7, they're going to continue with flush draws. But now the board paired, if you raise, they're going to fold their flush draws. So
Yeah.
I would just call here. I think this is good.
Yeah, I agree. At this point, I only have one side of the pot, so I might as well try to make my half as big as possible, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. Yeah, and now Meowza raises, which is kind of interesting.
Mm.
He calls and you call and he snap bets river. I mean, like what's interesting here is like I mean, I'm trying to think of what he actually has in this situation. Like, I really think a lot of times it's just going to be pair plus flush draw. I mean, I really think that we probably have to put in one raise on this river.
Probably just betting his hand, right?
I mean, more often,
his actual
yeah, like
hand, right?
I think he probably made like trips or I'm
Yeah.
I don't even know realistically like what he limp drew to unless it was just a misclick. But again, like blocking the queen, he doesn't really have queen here too often.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I think you probably want to put in honestly one raise with queen deuce here to be completely transparent. And like Owl Forever here is just he's just gonna have some sort of high hand. Like he has no, he's never gonna have like a full house on this board. So the only person you're really worried about in the situation is Meowza. And 5 5 and 5 5 is really the only combo I'm worried about. Um, I'm not worried about 6 6 at this point unless it was just like a random, he has trip sixes and hit like the case 1 outer. But I think you have enough equity here to raise with queen deuce. And you call, and yeah, he must have limped with 10 10 10, just trying to keep everyone in there, I guess. And then obviously they had the nut flush draw over here, and then he hit 3 deuces. So yeah, I would have just put probably one more raise in, I think, in this spot. Just kind of given like the board texture. Like obviously if the board is, say the board is like queen, 9 9, king 10 or something like that, like at that point, I think I'm just slowing down. Like it's just so much more likely that they have those like kind of high pairs. But on this board blocking the queen and then having like deuce queen in your hand, I think we should probably put in one more raise.
Mm.
Eights from the cutoff here is close, to be honest. A lot of times what you want is you kind of want like a suited high kicker with it, like a king or an ace. That kind of gives you like a high flush draw plus high kicker to make 2 pair. Again, you can kind of play around with the ranges because I'm gonna probably think that it might open eights here from the cutoff in single draw, but I think it's kind of like close to neutral, so I don't think it's a big deal one way or the other.
Yeah. I play drama hot pot limit a lot, and one of the biggest reverse implied odds hands I've found is like opening a shitty 2 pair from early position. So what happens is someone has like aces or kings, and then they draw. They've got a 25% chance to out 2 pair you on the draw, and then you don't really know where you are after the flop. It's so I agree with you on like having that like big kicker like the ace or king. That way you can back into a higher, like basically the top 2 pair, which is usually going to be good on the draw side of the pot. I mean, if you run into better, that's kind of just the cooler, I think.
Yeah, where do you play? I want to know, where do you play pot limit draw? That seems like
And home games.
Okay, man, that seems like a crazy game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you would. Yeah, I mean, hand selection is really important in that, and is focusing on the draw side of the pot is really important because you only get one chance to improve your actual like 5 in hand, right?
Yeah, and then you just play pot limit the rest of your hand, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So you've got the best 5 card draw hand. You can basically free roll the Omaha side. And
well, and here's I think another thing that's quite important too with respect to like the game changes. We're kind of looking at limit here. We're kind of talking about the limit strategies in general, but I'm sure like flush draws in that game then become a lot more important because obviously you can just call like a small raise and then like a small bet on flop, draw one, you make your flush, then you can play for stacks. That's a lot different than opposed obviously like
true.
drawing one and
Yeah.
then like calling limits on different streets. So um the games are similar in structure, but they are definitely not similar in strategy. So it's I'm sure that would be a ton of fun actually, but man, yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
people who don't know what they're doing are gonna be playing for stacks pretty quick.
It can be crazy sometimes, yeah, for sure. But yeah, agreed. Yeah, implied odds are definitely more of a thing in that game than a limit version.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
All right. Meowza raises small blind here. I think he's got probably most pairs. I like your raise here with the tens with the ace and ace king overcard blockers here. I think if you had just like two tens without it, I'd probably just call depending on like what the structure of your hand is. But I like the three bet here to be honest. And he calls. And then on this flop texture with no diamonds, I mean, I might check this one back. Um, just deciding whether I want to keep the king as a backdoor, but I think I just want to draw three at the 10-10.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's close. I don't think it's going to hurt you one way or the other. I'll put it that way. He checks here in this situation, and I think it's still close. I think more often than not here, you are going to have the best high hand. So usually if you have the best high hand in this situation, you probably want to maybe put a thin bet in. But again, there's not a ton of stuff going for you at this point because you basically have a gut shot. And I mean, like, I don't mind pot controlling here in position with 10-10 either. You go for it. And the only thing that really scoops you, I guess, on this river is like Jack Jack has played. So I'm probably just calling here.
Yeah, tens in hand are probably going to be good, given it was blind versus blind.
Yeah.
I think I just called river red.
Yeah. I mean, oh, interesting.
No, I
Yeah.
pulled it.
No, I definitely just call it river there. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Interesting.
All right. Definitely opening the sevens here. You got a lot of different things you can do with your hand here. On this board texture, probably just checking and drawing three at the 7-7. There's just not much going on here for your hand. So yeah, I probably would just check on this flop and just I mean you can bet once. I mean like if you really want to if your opponent's gonna overfold, like go ahead and bet the sevens here, but um I would probably just oh
I guess
oh
I drew the
interesting.
I drew the open end straight in hand instead of the instead.
And you know the funny thing is like I'm so used to seeing pairs, I never even thought of that. That might actually be a better strategy, can be honest, because what do you need? You need a jack or six, and they're all live.
Yeah, if I hit a jack, then I've got the
Yeah, yeah, you got the straight too. Yeah,
point too. So
yeah. Actually,
yeah.
you know what? I totally missed a straight draw. I am so used to just seeing pairs in my hand that, yeah, I think that actually might be the superior play here too. So, um, now you kind of have like an interesting spot where you like can turn you might be able to turn your hand into a bluff one time. I might just turn it into a bluff once or just check give up. I mean, that's kind of it, right? Like I'm never check calling this turn. So you either want to just like check give up or maybe put one bet in here and just be done with it.
Yeah, I've got 10 high in hand.
Yeah, you got 10 high in hand. It's
It's
like
not,
nothing going on.
it's not gonna work. Yeah.
All right, stud eight or better. Let's do it here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an easy hand. He plays that one great.
I'll take it. Yeah. Cool.
All right, 7-8-9 here is somewhat close. I wouldn't mind limping in a four-handed game with this. Like having the one thing probably going against me here that I probably would consider folding for it. Putting a borderline fold here is the 6 and the 10 are dead. Obviously, you need those to complete a straight.
Yeah.
But having the overcards here against the 6 and the 5 are not obviously the worst things in the world because like making those pairs is going to be pretty significant against like any of the low card ranges. So I wouldn't mind limping in the spot. Folding isn't it's like one of those spots that isn't going to be the worst thing.
Yeah, you're probably gonna put this in stud flop draw and see like I have like 53% equity.
You know, I don't think like the problem is like you're never really going to do that because you know one thing about like these stud games in general is you got to think about like realizing your equity, right?
That's true. Yeah.
You're only playing like in here you're playing a four-handed game basically. Like this player wasn't sitting out yet. So there is some money, but it's not like an eight-handed game where four people had folded in front of you. If four people had folded in front of you with some extra dead money, like I'm definitely playing this hand. Four-handed game, it's a little bit closer because again, there's not as much dead money as there would be usually. So I still think I'm playing this combo, just kind of given the fact also that like your sevens, eights, and nines are live, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a mistake one way or the other. It's not like you folded like, 6, 7, 8 suited or something like that. I mean, obviously in this spot, having one non-low card in your hand does hurt you. Uh, well, since we're here, we'll just let this play out. Interesting that he checks six street. Like this hand should never check six street. It feels like against this. And he just checks it back, and I guess he was going for a check raise with aces. But I probably would not have done that given the fact that his board was so raggedy. So yeah, like I think that in some ways it feels like kind of fancy play syndrome. So I would not have gone that route. Ace King Deuce here. This is probably a hand against like all the ranges here. I'm going to defend because even if the seven brings it in, like the seven can be relatively wide here, opening into a 10 in the bring in. He just limps and he just calls. Yeah, and then when they catch these cards, I'm just going to go ahead and bet the deuce eight more often than not. If I had like 9, 10, I might not. He calls you.
Yes.
He calls you and then leads this turn, which is somewhat interesting.
He doesn't have a low draw, right? He's got.
I mean, he doesn't. I mean, he doesn't have a 10 either, right? Like he's repping like. You think about what he's repping in the situation is like maybe he caught a queen. You block king jack. Um, I mean, it seems like he might have had some sort of straight combo. I think I peel though here with your hand. I know we're getting we only need roughly 25% here to continue, and I'm sure we kind of have that, given the fact that we have a three flush, three low cards, and then I'm not sure what he's repping, but at least three overcards probably here to some of his, like the tens and the nines. So I probably am peeling one here. It just kind of feels like his hand is relatively weak at this point. Um, Yeah, I mean, like you have the combos that make him straights, right? Like the King Jack 8 combo is the combo that makes him straight here, and you have the King Jack and 8. So I think I'm peeling for one more here. Yeah, I like the call. This is just now it's like kind of weird.
It seems
Yeah.
like these seem like both brick cards for us at this point here.
Yeah, it's
I'm not going to make a low, which is a problem.
yeah, it definitely hurts you when you catch this 10 now.
He's playing stud high effectively at this point, right?
Yeah, and you can't, and the 9 doesn't do anything for you. Like not now, it's not like you can make a lower straight as well. Um, man, his hand just feels so weak in this spot though. It's such a weird spot to be honest. Because I feel like any sort of like 10 combo, I guess you could have like a queen here and just kind of have you dead sometimes. I'm probably folding now. I'm kind of like really sad about it, but it's just a weird spot, like how this hand kind of played out. But I think I'm folding now.
Yeah.
Just no good rivers.
Wish I caught a low card or a diamond, then I could continue more often. But yeah, I think
Yeah, sure. I mean, like it even feels like sometimes there. I mean, I'm not gonna say your ace king high is good there, that often, but I also think too that the way he's kind of played his hand, it just seems like his range is really weak.
no, yeah, I agree. His line doesn't make a ton of sense, but
Here I think we might just want to limp behind here with the buried threes. I think we still want to play like this hand against this range, and even though there's only four antes in there, I still think just limping, completing the action, I think is probably okay. Or you can just like go ahead and raise if he overfolds, but
yeah.
um, again, I encourage, and I've been telling everyone this as of late, if you guys have had the ability to go, Chris Fitch just did a video on like what to do in a situation where there's like 7 or 8 people that fold to the bring in. How's the bring in supposed to play in that situation? And
Yeah. I mean, if you know he's going to fold an exposed deuce to my exposed 10, I'd raise every time. But I don't know if like raising a 10 instead 8, is that how often should I be doing that?
well, I mean, if you have split tens, you should be, if you have, a relatively high pair, you should be doing it pretty frequently because the high pair is the favorite over the low draw on third street. Now obviously there's a playability issue, and a lot of times how that kind of goes is like, say you have split tens, you raise and get called by a low card. The low card catches an unpaired low card and you catch kind of a brick. Usually it's going to go check. And then, they bet and then you call and then kind of like see how Fifth Street plays out. If it's really good for them, a lot of times you have one pair, you check fold because the implied odds going forward are really bad. If they catch a brick, usually you're betting. If they catch kind of a ho-hum card, you're usually kind of continuing. Very, very, very rules of thumb kind of thing going on here. So situations can different, but more often than not, like, yeah, a lot of times your big pairs do have equity. Now, it depends also what the up cards are behind you, right? So like say you have like split nines and then there's like a king and two aces behind you, usually like you're not playing that. Or maybe even worse for you is like two aces and a king, because if the two aces fold and you open, like then the king has like free reign to play against your nine or something like that. But yeah, like realizing your equity with kind of like those mid to high pairs that aren't aces are can be difficult in stud eight for sure. It takes a lot of skill, a lot of um gambling, I would say, to learn. Here against his open, I think I am continuing against his raise. I think he can be pretty wide in this situation. It's one of these spots too where like, if he catches bad and you catch good on 4th Street, like he just might check fold. So I think I do peel with two wheel cards and an ace. With an overcard to his 7 as well with the 9s. Because if you make pairs of nine, like a pair of 9s here, it's actually worth something. So I like to continue. Range on range here, it's kind of whatever. I think like he can bet, he can check, it's no big deal. And now I think we're just kind of stuck peeling here because again, his range can be like relatively wide. He doesn't have a straight here. You can still scoop him with 9s at this point. So this is just a continue once we get here. What's he going to do, ladies and gentlemen? No. Yeah, we still got to continue. The other thing too is we have like backdoor low draw too, so we can actually like a lot of spots like that. That's one that I might cut the video for and kind of just like run on Fifth Street there to see what like kind of equity that you have in that situation. But I still think with the backdoor equity there, and the fact that 9s could be scooping in that situation, low probability at that point, but I wouldn't say that low probability, but definitely a fair amount of time there. I think 9s are going to be scooping. So. All right, but AC 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 is the best low. 4, 3, 2, 1 is the best high. I actually think I'm folding this hand on the button. The reason being is I'm not keeping the 8 at the start of this hand, and I think 5, 3 on its own is probably a little bit too weak to just open. So I would pitch this one. And what are they gonna do? What? Okay, this is just weird.
Yeah,
All right.
that is scary.
Yeah, the pat's kind of scary, but it also just might signify that like he doesn't really know what he's doing. In a 50-cent dollar game, like playing for the first time. So
Possible.
yeah, and it's interesting too because does it make me want to keep the 8 a little bit more? I probably just want to go ahead and break the 8 to be honest with you, but yeah, it's just kind of one of these spots where sometimes he's gonna have like a 7 low with a 3 card, or like an 8 low with a 3 card, or maybe like a 9-9 and not really knowing what he's doing at this point. So you reduce to a 3 card 6, given the price, I would definitely call. And then I would just fold. Yep. Just it's kind of a weird spot when you see a player do something like that. Same thing here in the cutoff. I think 2-4 is a little bit too not as strong as you want here to open. Having the 2-5s does help you. That's definitely for sure. Maybe if I had like 2-4-4-5-5, I might open this one, but I think 2-4 on its own is probably just a little bit too loose to open. I'll just go ahead and pitch this one myself. All right, gamble now. But I mean, like, let's be honest, right? Like this mistake here, is not going to be that big mistake. If we go over to stud 8 hand, like on Fifth Street against Meowza, when you had the split 9s with a backdoor 6 draw, staring at 7-3-8 against a wide range, that mistake is going to be by far a bigger mistake. Not that I'm trying to like nitpick. I'm just saying like the ranges pre-flop with respect to this is not going to be that big of a mistake, because like in this situation here with blockers, you should be opening ace deuce. But kind of given the fact where you're giving up a pot where you possibly could be scooping, that by far is like those are the mistakes you really want to focus on cleaning up, especially when learning the games, because those are the big mistakes that we want to make sure we're cleaning up when we can. All right, you take 3 correctly in my mind, and you've seen a 4, 2 5s at this point.
Yeah.
I think I'm still checking in position here and just drawing 3 again. I usually don't keep the suited card at this point. I usually do that with 1 draw remaining. I'm still drawing to the Badoogie. And now we have, we still have 2 card and we have a 1 card draw to an 8, and the pot is relatively small at this point. Like you've seen a ton of diamonds, and in some sort of pot limit game somewhere in the world, I'm sure you could just bet pot here and bluff your hand because you've seen, the ace, the 4, the 5, the 8, 2 5s, 2 deuces. Like you've seen a bunch of pairs here, but in, these limit games, like the player just gets to pat 9 9 all day long. And in Badesi, if this was Badesi pot limit, you could just, bet pot and get him to fold. But in this spot, I would just muck my hand, give him the price. And we didn't bet the first draw either, so the pot's a little bit smaller than it usually would be. Yeah, I like the fold. All right, this is an easy fold. We've been playing every hand, so we haven't really gotten a break too much.
Yeah.
And draw left, leave it here. Meowza plays every hand, apparently.
Sometimes, yeah.
Well, there he goes. I mean, King and Madesi's going to scoop it, so yeah, why not?
Oh, look at that. Wow.
Mhm.
Hey.
All right. Drama high hand will not get it done.
Yeah, it's a wrong game.
All right, Badesi here. Looks like
Yeah,
the very next hand
ace
is
three.
big with ace 3.
Yeah,
Yep,
defend it.
easy call, defend for 1 bet, draw 3.
Yep. Okay. I like
So yeah, I mean, I'm going to start with a check here, and I'm going to check call. So I think you have 2 choices here. I think that the 2 choices here: check call, draw 3 at the ace 3, or to check call. You theoretically here could check raise and draw 1 and try to get him to fold something. The thing is I think too many people are sticky in this game, so I think check raising and like trying to get him to fold something out of position is probably lighting money on fire. So probably what I would do here is just check call, draw 3 again, and then I would take note of what you threw away. And the reason being is because like now if you catch some more blockers and you make like a decent 3 card, I think your hand picks up more equity in a situation like that. So I think doing this is actually probably the worst of all 3 decisions. And the reason being is because like now you've reduced your ability to make the doogie and you're still drawing, 2. So like to try and get to improve like a D2 versus a D1 out of position, it's not that big of a equity disadvantage in ace to 5, but like if you have the Badoogie disadvantage here, drawing 2 instead of drawing 3 that's the big probabilistic mistake, I would say.
sure.
And now you do make ace 3 4 5. So now we're going to check call and then we're going to draw 1 again. And now I usually get to showdown with the ace 3 4. Like having the queen Badoogie in this situation is almost it's very similar to having like the ace 3 4 3 card from an equity standpoint, right? Because like sometimes he's going to have ace deuce 3 or something like that. But here we've also seen a couple blockers here that does help our cause. So like keeping the queen here, I think would be quite a big mistake, especially since you have good ace to 5 equity going forward on the 5 card side. And then yeah, I'm probably getting I'm probably calling this river here with a 3 card 4. I think usually your good 3 cards are good enough to get you showdown. I would say like yeah, I just think you have enough equity here to get showdown. To be completely honest, I want to just go back and see the pot. I don't want to it's just 1 draw left. So let's see. He's going to check. He's going to bet. What is it? $1. So basically in this situation here, there's 6 in the pot. So you're going to put 7 in, 350. You are going to need not 25%. What is it roughly? It's I got a calculator in the background over here, but I still think it's going to be enough with a 3 card 4 that you're going to get half the pot more often than not to get half here. So I probably would have check called river. All right. 3 4 6 here in small blind. This is one what I would do in this situation here, Badesi, is I would just call. I would just have a call calling range with this, ditch the 5 of diamonds, ditch the king of clubs, and draw 2. Again, one of the things about like playing out of position in these draw games, you don't really want to limit yourself immediately with one of your draws. You want to give yourself the best chance to play a big pot. And when you keep one, a lot of times, like what is it? A fair bit of your cards here are just not going to improve your hand to the point on the Badoogie side, where you just kind of have to play your hand passively, and that's not necessarily the name of the game. You really want to give yourself the chance to play a decent pot here out of position. So I would draw 2. Yeah, I don't. The thing is like when you draw one and you check, you're kind of turning your hand face up, basically saying like, I have a problem with my hand because I didn't three bet you and then I drew one. So the other thing too is like I don't really mind the check saying that because you can still make up a doogie and like maybe go for a check raise and kind of punishing him. Um, Now in this situation, when you make the 8, um, I would probably go for the bet to try to get him to fold something and pat his hand because sometimes here he's just gonna break and you can just win. Also too, playing this out of position, like the pot's relatively smaller, so you're gonna give him a worse price to actually call here with kind of like a mediocre hand. One of the things that we did talk about though is the fact that you didn't three bet preflop, so your hand kind of looks relatively weak, but still at this limit, you might just kind of get away with betting. And he checks, and you have an easy stand pat here. Like he's most likely always going to be drawing 2 again, and if he does keep a rough badoogie, then you're just going to have plenty of equity. The only question here is can you get him to fold anything? So if you think you can get him to fold something, well, actually, I mean, like you might just like 3-card 6s here do have a little bit of equity just in case he has a 3-card 7. I mean, it's possible. And he does have a 3-card 7, so you're actually going to scoop this one. Now we feel like, hell no, we missed all the bets.
I missed the bet, yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean that's one thing too. But Badesi, like Badesi and Badusi generally, like sometimes your opponent will just add a Badoogie that has him kind of dead, meaning like you kind of still get to bet the river in some way because they're gonna like pat here or they're gonna keep the 10 Badoogie or the Jack Badoogie, thinking like there's no way your hand has a Badoogie in it. So
yeah.
All right, speaking of all these Badoogies, let's play Badoogie. All right, when he raises here on the button, I think this is a 3-bet with the ace 3-9.
Yeah.
The reason being is because 1, you can reduce to a better 3-card. 2, I think most people here in the cutoff can have D2s, and like you are going to continue here, but you should not continue call and draw 1 here. I think this is just like going to be a 3-better fold, and I do think this is technically a play against a cutoff's range in Badoogie. So yeah, I like 3-bet. All right, D1, D1. One thing about your hand specifically right here is like now that you caught an ace, a 3 and a 3, what you could theoretically do is like you still have enough equity to just continue betting down, I think, but you could just quick pat snow your hand sometimes. This is not good. And probably, yeah, I'm probably calling once and then just I'm probably drawing one more time. The thing is like when your opponent goes from 1 to path or average hand, here's an 8 Badoogie, which is not good for a lot of different reasons because now you're drawing like you're drawing a lot of times here to reduce and then make a Badoogie. So I think you do have to call once just in case your opponent's like check raising, doing something funky like I'm going to draw 1 now, but more often than not, I think they're just going to be pat here. So your hand is actually quite close to a fold when he plays it like that. And now your hand's just, in my mind, just a very clear fold.
I think I was tempted to draw to the 9 Badoogie, and I'm probably going to get screwed on that.
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem. Like, this is like when your opponent's drawing 1, the average hand is just going to be the 8 Badoogie. So you're kind of on the wrong side of variance when you get check raised in that situation. That doesn't mean you are drawing dead per se. It's just more often lines like, a lot of things have to go right for you, and you are going to have a lot better hands here to continue with. Obviously, like this is stone cold bottom of your range kind of thing when you have like the 9 plus the reduce, like ace 3, ace deuce, deuce 3 kind of thing. So I think I think folding that other bet is totally fine. I think calling the first check raise is fine. But I think folding for that last draw, because again, reverse implied odds there can be pretty bad. So here's a little bit different here against hijack open. I think folding the ace 6-9 here is probably correct. You could probably open this one had he folded, but I think once he opened, I would just give up. We do reduce here, so we're kind of in bet down mode now. And then maybe like last draw check. Same thing here with the ace. The ace is actually a really good card for you now because it reduces some of his 3-card combos that he can have in this situation that beat you. So if he checks here, I would definitely bet again. And yeah, you have enough showdown here definitely to now you beat some of his 3 cards. So like every single street here, it's getting a little bit better for you. So I would definitely go ahead and bet the King Badoogie on the river. you definitely want to make yourself as tough as you can to play in these situations. So like if they're going to call you a 3 card, a 3 card sixer, you definitely want to make sure you're value betting the king badoogies.
Mm.
All right. Well, we're just playing every hand this session, so this is lovely. All right,
Oh.
we're definitely gonna be playing this one here with 4 5 6.
Get good hands, I'll play. If I get crap, I'll no fold. But
All right, so he's pad. So against the 3 bet here, um, yeah, we're gonna just start with check call.
yeah,
Give us a
try to
badoogie. Come on. Oh, there's
duty hand.
yeah. Now we just
Yeah,
gotta go for check raise here.
check raise. Yeah.
One of the videos I plan on doing in the future is kind of like talking about like what the badoogie distribution looks like from certain players. Like does if they have 100% badoogie range, if they have like a
Yeah.
king badoogie range, or if they have like they're somewhat balanced here. But I think like most players here are gonna have 100%. So you are printing against that pat range. So and he folds, times out. Now this is one I fold under the gun.
Yeah, I don't open King Badoogie.
I mean, we're playing every hand, but I mean, and we are dealt a Badoogie, but this is one that we just don't play.
This is the worst, almost the worst possible Badoogie you can be dealt, right? I mean, this is. Yeah.
I mean, there's a fair bit of king queens, but yeah, this is definitely one of the worst. All right, let's go forward.
Almost rather have a 3 card.
I mean, there you go. You would have been up against the queen jack 7-5, and you would have just got scooped.
Yeah. Hard to break and improve that one too. They're all connected high cards, right? So
yeah. I'll get a walk there. Not too much to say.
yeah,
Folding that one pretty standard, I would say.
do 7 drama.
Yeah, if I was on the button here, I would open this one with the 1 card jack draw, given that like I have a couple double suited combos here, and I can also abandon ship and draw too if need be. But with the raise in front of me here, I'm just gonna fold this one. Yeah, just drawing at jacks in general is not a good strategy. Plus, if someone opens in front of you, if your plan is to draw is to D2 from an early position open, they're just gonna have a lot of pad hands. Then you're just gonna have a lot of D1s that are like kind of heavily dominated. So, I would just give this one up. Interesting flop. Which is 4-3-6. Yeah, I think we just keep the 4-3-6 here and draw 2. I mean, I've seen some players do some wild things here, like keep the 4-4-3 and just play for one side of the pot, but I don't think that's necessarily right. So again, like I think I would just go ahead and
definitely keep 6-4-3. The question.
I mean, you just run into straights here, you just run into straights here too. Plus you run into better flush draws. Like, no, I mean, like here we're just, I think I do take 2. The problem is like we're going to be playing in position with the jack against players who probably all have better draws than us. So that means like our jack here is just going to be significant underdog. I would much rather play a hand that gives me, again, it's just one of these spots where it's like, where do I have more playability? Drawing 1 to the jack or drawing 2 and trying to make something better. So I would go ahead and D2, I think, in this spot.
What would be the bottom of your calling range on the button against a hijack open?
What's the bottom of my pat range?
Have your calling range? Draw 1 card draw to like a 9 or a 10 or a 8. What's your?
What's interesting is I usually don't have I usually still play a 3-better fold situation. There probably are some situations where I do call and draw 1 just because of the nature of like a lot of the split pot games, but I would probably say like 10s that are double suited or like have good connectivity, like maybe 10-9, 10-9, like 7-6, with a suit or something like that. I mean, you don't like having your straight draws in your hand, but that might even be a little bit too rough, to be honest. Maybe like 9-8, 9-8, 7-5 with a suit or something along those lines that have some good connectivity. Too, you can just like you can also just like flat the button with like 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Because you don't have to 3-bet. I see a lot of people 3-bet that hand, and the problem with something like that is like, that hand doesn't get, you have a straight draw for your reduced to 7 hand. Or like 3 4 5 6 is another good example where you have like an open-ended straight draw with it. And at the same time too, playing Omaha High with that, I mean like you have 6 high. That doesn't generate a lot of equity in the
Mm.
Omaha High board. So you can like add a lot of straight draws into those cold calling ranges. And you kind of see that too in like deuces seven single draw sometimes as well. Is like your straight draws or your gut shots or something along those lines become some of your flat calls to kind of protect your range and still have the ability to make a decent deuce to seven hand in its own right. So, like generally, I would say like some of your rougher hands that you're still supposed to continue with is probably something that qualifies for that. I probably am not doing. There might be some. There might be some case to do it with like some jacks that again are like well suited and connected. But the problem is like if your opponent there is just going to be dealt a better hand than you a good portion of the time, and you're dead for half anyway. So,
True.
more often than not, it's probably like some sort of double suited 10 to answer your question. Excuse me.
Mm.
But I'm kind of like just making special cases that I might see. Now, one thing I would say also too is that I did not expect it to go two here, and this person padded because they timed out. So this person over here, um, probably has like you never beat at this point. They probably just have some really rough hand that they just had timed out. So like a lot of times they keep a pair or even like a queen or something like that. So when this happens and this person like times out, you got to keep an eye out for that because when it does happen, it's advantageous to you. And then Meow's taking two over here. I mean, like it might actually be advantageous here to actually keep the jack now in that situation because like you're kind of only playing against three players now for the deuce side. Like he could just have you beat on the flush side or whatever. But Meow's drawing two in this situation here. I think gives it a
Yeah.
little more of an equity edge to keep the jack. So it's kind of close to be completely honest.
Mm.
It's ironic now the person
I was
who's
surprised by the early position open and then drawing too, because I would never do that if I was playing just regular deuce to seven single draw, right?
I
I
I
usually
think
try to just draw one and deuce
yeah,
to seven single draw at most.
yeah,
And
and I tend
yeah,
to agree with you, but I also
yeah.
think too, sometimes like some of your draws in this game, depending on what the board is, can just shrivel up really quick. And if it's a four-way pot, like you're just
Mm,
kind of screwed, right?
that's
The
true.
other thing too is like sometimes you see people that have like very low deuce to seven equity and they have like an ace high flush draw, they'll draw four, because like they're actually a favorite to make the flush.
Mm,
So you do see that occasionally. They turn their hand face up, but like, they're doing what they're supposed to be doing in a situation where like they're supposed to be maximizing their equity kind of thing.
it's fair.
So, yeah, like I tend to agree with you, but sometimes like your game plan changes, right? Like we were talking about earlier, when you had the button and you had like the jack 6 6 4 3, you had the ability to raise the button, draw one, or, depending on what happened is like you could just ditch the jack and draw two. So sometimes like those things do happen. But yeah, generally I tend to agree with you. So Spubline after he times out Pats, he bets, uh he calls I'm throwing your hand away. Like I don't think we have enough equity here. Multi-way, we have pretty much the lowest flush on the board. And it goes bet call call in front of us. So things are just not gonna go our way. We do have a full house draw, but I mean we could be dead here to that anyways, given the fact there's a straight flush draw out there. So I think it's just like one of those spots in split block games. You just kind of have to think to yourself as like, you know, how often can I win either side of it? And when it goes back call call in front of you, it's just so hard. I mean, you might win something here, but I wouldn't bet this one. I think like a lot of times you still just check here and get scooped. Yeah, Jack high flush draw. Yeah, he was obviously like trying to draw his hand and he just timed out. And then Jack 9 8, Jack 9 6. All right, let's get half.
Some way, somehow.
Yeah, it's like one of those spots there is like I definitely not bet that river. All right, this is a good example of a 10 here, like where I would definitely like if he raises, I three bet this combo with like the 10 draw plus double suited combo. I mean, theoretically in some worlds you also keep the ace too, but I would definitely three bet this combo. Yeah, that's good. You want to make sure like you maximize the equity for your like 10 draw being good, and the best way to do that is to raise and draw, get them out of the pot. Yeah, with the flush draw here in a pair, I think betting your hand is fine. Draws one, you draw one. Make jacks and threes in a 1-1 spot. If he checks, I'm betting. If he bets, I just call. You definitely have enough equity, I think, both ways to.
Yeah, I mean, three pair on the board and a jack in hand.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even notice you had three pair. Um,
That's
um,
I lose the deuce five.
you lose the deuce five. Well, you lose the deuce five, but he has to have a specific combo to scoop you, right?
Yeah, it's
So
true.
king 10, obviously king 10 is not going to scoop you here. Like any sort of better two pair here is not going to scoop you here. So realistically, I mean, the thing is if he checks in the situation, a lot of times what happens is like you still might be able to scoop if he's got like a pair trying to get to showdown. Um, yeah, I mean, if he checks, can he have a worse jack than you? Can he have a worse? I mean, he theoretically could have a worse jack, but usually if he opens from that position and he makes a jack, he's gonna have a better jack. So we'll see what happens here. But I think if he checks here, I actually, man, let's see, yeah, that's a nightmare. But I think I'm still calling just in case he's got like I don't know some sort of king 10 deuce five or some sort of pair that like got to the river. I still think you have enough equity here to call. Yeah, he's got the deuce five in the
Yeah,
eight.
paired in hand, which is
Yeah, like obviously he's not. Yeah, it's like one of those spots where if he breaks the river, he's not calling, but he has enough equity to continue in that situation, given the fact he's got a flush draw and an open ender, and actually a triple gutter, I guess, with the 10-8 on the queen jack flop.
yeah.
All right, I fold that one.
Wrong game for that one.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And draw my deuce. Another good looking draw here with a double suited 10-7-6-4. I mean, honestly, against button raise, I'm probably three betting this combo to be honest. Um, given the blocker here as well, I think like I mean, we've already seen him like open a hijack draw two. Now again, he might have just gotten in a spot where he's like, okay, I have to ditch my hand. But if that's the case too, I think like opponent here can have a lot of D2s, and I think like having the pair here as an extra blocker, also being the fact that you're double suited, and you have some good connectivity here on some Omaha boards. I think this is probably okay. Um, man, this is kind of a brutal spot. The reason being is like obviously like if he has five cards here and he has a flush and he's drawing, and even if he's not, he could still draw to flush against you. You just do not have a ton of equity here on this board texture. You have no straight draws, you have no pair, you have no diamonds. I mean, it feels like really gross here, but I might just check fold your hand. I mean, you are kind of playing a hand here too going forward where you're guessing like the best. Like say you make your bottom card here and you make a deuce, right? And maybe it's a diamond. Like you're kind of hoping the the run out comes like some sort of low straight where maybe you get to lead river and that's kind of it. Like nothing else here looks particularly good for you. So I actually might check fold this hand on this flop. It feels like super dirty because like sometimes you're just, giving up the best draw, but you just have like no equity on this board.
Yeah, I agree. Nice. What I was
I,
talking
I
about.
mean, it's like, so the other thing too,
Yeah.
the other thing too in that situation is like if you have a good draw, like it's a little bit different. I mean, like having the 10 draw, it makes it a little bit worse in some ways. Because obviously, like, if you're still drawing at a nine, I'm probably still like drawing at a nine. Um, but having the 10 in that spot, it just feels really, really, really rough on a flush board, unblocking all diamonds. Um, so I mean, like in some ways, I almost want to have like a 10 jack draw because then I have a straight draw at least. Well, we're dealt at
Bad
pat
now.
nine here, so
Bad.
let's play this one.
Yeah. I hope I three bet this. I did. Okay.
Okay, so I would slow down here just a little bit. Okay, so one thing. Oh, darn. Let's go. Wait a minute, that's the wrong one. Here, let's see if I can do this again. All right, there we go. Haha, look at that.
Wow. You're pretty good, man.
All right, let's go do that. All right. So one thing here is I would slow down when he immediately four bets you. The reason why is because like um in this game more often than not when you get four bet like it's either going to be a very very strong draw or it's going to be a pat hand, right? So I wouldn't just immediately five bet this hand. I would take a second to think about it. Now, I think your hand might warrant justify a five bet here, but I would just slow down in game just to, kind of decide what to do.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, since you five bet in this situation, I think obviously flopping middle and bottom pair here, you have an easy bet pat your hand kind of thing. Like there's no question about it, right? So I would stand pat. And now he snap pats behind you. Yeah, I mean, like I think he's just gonna have a lot of tens here in this situation too. So I think we just have to kind of bet down. I bet at least turn and then like the side river. Yeah, I mean, easy bet on the river because if he's got It's a bad
He's,
card for you in a
he's
lot of
got
different ways.
if he's got an 8, I'm beating him on the board, right? And
The
if
the
he's
only
got
the only way you get quartered here is if he has 9-8 and a better low.
That's true.
So any other like 9 with a better kicker, then you haven't beat for low. So the only way that he gets a quarter here from you is, or you quarter, sorry, whoever has if you both have 9-8 here, whoever has the better low is going to get 3/4 if that's the case. Um, I'm trying to think if like yeah, but the thing is here is like if he's got like a 10 here, I think he's probably going to call down anyways. So I would probably just bet your hand. And the other thing too here is about like, well, you got to think about like some of these checks in out of position too, because like your hand is totally fine to bet, but if you check in this position, I mean, he gets to play perfectly, right? Like if he's got a somehow has a better hand than you, he can bet.
Yeah, you
And
can check behind before
yeah, he
it's
can check behind. He's got a worse hand here, and you scoop him. So I would just go ahead and bet. And I mean, he does have a better kick than you, but whatever.
no. Not betting
It's
it.
kind of, I mean, it's
Yeah.
a little bit interesting with his hand to be honest.
Mm.
I'm not sure if I would have snap hatted his hand back.
10 9 8
Well,
7.
because like the 10 high flush draw and the 9 high flush draw are kind of the same hand, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you are padding there. You got to think about what your pat range looks like, right? I mean, how many jacks are you padding here out of position? I don't know. I don't know if you're five betting jacks and patting out of
I think
position.
this 9 is the bottom of my 5 bet range.
So right. So like given that, so like given the fact that you have, you probably don't have any 5 bet jacks out of position and pat your hand kind of thing. Um, you know, basically his 10 here is like effectively a jack. Like 10 9 8 7 is effectively a jack. So I think what he should do here, given the fact also that the 10 high flush draw is the exact same thing as the 9 high flush draw, given the fact that he has 9, I think he should break the 10 and draw one at the 9 8 7 4.
I was actually scooping him till the river. Look at that. My 2 pair on the board and a flush draw and a 9 in hand against his 10 9.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. I mean, that's the nature of the game.
Yeah.
Yes, you are correct. You were scooping his ass. All right, 9 7 3 deuce here. This is a spot where again we are definitely playing. Plus, we have some convertibility. Like we can also pat this queen too, and given like what the board texture is, so easy open here. Yeah, we're patting the queen now, so it just simplifies the game.
Bet down.
Yeah, okay, D3. All right, that's go ahead. Good luck. Bet it down. Now, like sometimes those D3s are gonna be like king high and ace high flush draws. Oh, but not there. Maybe a set. I guess it could be set.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah.
All right. Looks like we got one more hand here, so we can play this one out.
I probably didn't intend to play this. I probably just mucked this, but
yeah, I would definitely play. So yeah, like in stud high low regular in this NEA version, like having the ace kicker, 2 wheel cards, and a suited ace in your hand as well. There's a 3 and 4 dead here, but this is one spot that I would definitely play. Again, you can go for a limp, you can go for raise. I don't mind raising this one at all. So all right, guys, we pulled up this hand here because we wanted to look at the equity difference here on 6th Street. So the first thing that I'm going to do is we are going to pull up stud flop draw. What we did here in this situation is the first thing we did is we looked at Meow's steal range, and I think this is fine. This could even be theoretically wider, but I removed kind of like the offsuit garbage, like the queen fives, the king nine stuff that he might just probably fold immediately. If we look at the range, it's about 56%. I think that's totally fine. And then over here, you can see this is a 13 by 13 matrix grid. On this side are the suited combos, and these one combos would mean like 7, 9, 6 of spades. All the other ones over here, you can see the different combos that you get, playing over on this side of the board that are not the suited combos. And then our hand specifically, we have the ace 9 offsuit. So what we're going to do in this situation, we have the dead cards over here. We are going to go back to the hand history, and then we're going to see what we do from here. So we're going to bring it in. So we got the queen, the 4, and the full floating. The Mr. Meowser raises. And as we need to like deduct some of the range too, I think we can. The first thing here is like, I think we can remove some of the worst combos that he might open here because he continues c-betting. So you catch the 6, he catches the 3 of diamonds, you catch the 6 of hearts. So if we go back over to stud flop draw and we update the boards, you catch the 6 of hearts. He catches the 3 of diamonds. The only thing I would say is your board update, we don't have to do much. His board, we probably need to do a little bit here. So Do we have to do a one-up bit? Yeah, we're probably gonna remove some of like the worst spade combos in this situation for sure. So if we go over here, start removing some of these worst combos when you catch a low card. Yeah, this should not be a bet. This should not be a bet. King 8, so these should not be bets now. These like kings, jacks, 10, 6, 7, 7. They shouldn't be bets realistically. Okay, so we have the pairs. We have like some sort of aces with sevens. These are all bets. To remove some of these as well. Ace king off combo, ace jack off, ace king off. Okay, 10, 8, 10, 9, 10, 6, 10, 7. Sorry, we'll keep the sevens in there as pairs. So I think this is kind of like a good updated range, removing some of those worst combos when he bets in this situation here. So this is fine. He still got 61% over you when he bets in this spot. Not really too much to say. So now if we go back and share this spot again, and you're going to call. And he catches the 8 of spades, and obviously you check. And I think at this point too, when we check our hand, I think that he bets here 100% of the time now.
Mm.
The reason being is because now it looks like you catch a brick, and his hand like doesn't look like it ever catches a brick here when it catches the 8 of spades. So you catch the 9 of diamonds, and he catches the 8 of spades. And we're going to update that simulation. And we can see here now that we actually improve our equity by catching the 9 here. We're almost 50-50. So in this situation here, we just have to continue for that one bet against like this theoretical range that he's again betting. Plus we have some backdoor equity. Now, yeah, there's reverse implied odds, but I mean, when our equity is almost 50%, I mean, we just got to continue for one bet. So again, I think that was the one big mistake that kind of stuck out. That's the one thing, like those are the mistakes you really want to pick out and you want to just, fix and change, because doesn't matter, going back to that like Badoosie hand or Badesi hand, you open like the 4 deuce 5 5, given some of the blockers effects, I probably still would not open that hand, but that hand is not going to be that big of a mistake. Like, the equities are just going to run close from that position you're playing in position. So yeah, I mean, like you might be losing a little bit by opening the hand, but not by much. So, but this spot right here, obviously, is given the pot. If we go back over to the media viewer over here and we play, and then once he bets in this situation, we can see here that like the pot right now is 3.61. So obviously we're giving up something like I'm trying to think if I have to call the bet to give it up, but at this point we're giving up almost like 2.25 big bets here by folding kind of thing. I think that's the case. And as opposed to like if you open the deuce 4, maybe you're like losing 0.1 big blind or something like that, as opposed to here we're like giving up 2.5 big bets. So that's like the difference in this scenarios that I tell people all the time. Like these are the spots you definitely want to identify and change and make sure, like if you do get here, sometimes some players that's like, well, why are you defending ace 9-3? Okay, well, like that's fine. Like you can say, you might not be, sorry, in a situation like this, you might not, you're not supposed to necessarily defend the ace 9-3 here. I think you are, but say like you're not, right? Well, okay, now we continue in a spot where like our opponent's range is wide, and then we catch this pair in this situation. Once we get there, we have to just make the best decision that we can at this point. And obviously, like given the fact that we have 50%, I've harped it on. I've given you enough flack for this lesson for the most part, but this is just the one spot that definitely stuck out with me. But those are the spots that you definitely want to avoid going forward, because those are the biggest errors that just compound over time. And it's nice having pre-flop solvers and stuff like that, but having access to obviously tools like stud flop draw over here just are so beneficial from just the perspective of like we can see how big our mistakes are given like X, Y, and Z. But yeah, as always, guys, if you want to use stud flop draw, just tell them Learn Mixed Game sent you. That will help out tremendously. And yeah, when they release this version is not open to the public as of yet. And this will be released in their pro version coming out soon. But given that fact, let's go back to Mr. Henrik over here. Henrik, how do we do part 2 over here?
Really great, great insightful commentary. Definitely some big takeaways. I think the stud 8 stuff is definitely more of a going to be more of a focal point on what to defend and what to continue with. Because I think one of my leaks is I worry so much about getting free rolled on the low side that I probably overfold spots that are mathematical continues as you demonstrate here. So Yeah. Good stuff to reflect on and think about. Really good analysis, Kyle.
I appreciate that. You know, one thing too is like in the one thing that you have not been able to really see unless like maybe you're watching a Stars final table or a um I mean, just like there's not too many mixed game streamers per se out there, but generally the content that you would find back in the day with respect to mixed games is basically, you know, Super Systems. Dylan Lynn wrote his book. I have the mixed games. Actually, it holds up my microphone by Ken Lowe, and I think honestly that's probably one of the more thorough books on it. But the thing is like until you actually, you know, for lack of a better term, get in the mix and start playing, I mean, you just find these spots over and over again. And you know, like, yeah, you can reread a 20-page chapter book over and over again to just like try to find it. Unfortunately, I know Chris Fitch's site went down Deuces Cracked years ago, because they were putting out some decent content to really get you kind of like prep for it. But until you get in there and like do the work and start like finding these spots, it's it's you just never really know. And that's why yeah, that's why I kind of started the channel, just trying to make sure everyone kind of had like a good basis and foundation to play some of these games. So,
Yeah.
Henrik, I appreciate you sending in the video. As always, anyone who wants this type of review, type of information, you can always record up to 1 hour in Phenom. Send it in. If you have not registered for an account, you can use code LMG and get 2 free hours. Um, but yeah, any closing thoughts? Any sort of anything you want to say to anyone out there?
No, really great thoughts, and hope to see other people on the Phenom mixed games because the site could definitely use some more traffic. So,
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
for sure.
yeah.
I tend to agree with you. And then yeah, for again, for anyone else watching here, put your comment and feedback down below. Again, if you think like, you know, I always did to players and students in general too, like don't take my word as law in any ways. Like don't assume that I'm right. Like, you know, if you find something that you think I'm doing wrong, let me know, and I'm totally happy to adjust my game, get better, and to help everyone else in the process, you know, get better too. So until then, Henrik, thank you so much for sending in the video. It was awesome to meet you and awesome to go over this stuff. Until then, everyone, good luck at the tables. Play well. Talk to you guys soon. Bye bye.